pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Park Pals. We have such an exciting episode today. The amazing, incomparable, beautiful, wonderful, smart, talented Danielle Bisutti is here, aka Professor Linda. Oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. I said this in the interview to her as well, but I'm just going to preface this by saying she was such a queen. She's so regal. If you're listening, Danielle, you're so regal and wonderful. But not like a queen that's looking down at her people, a queen that is bringing her people in, and I just love that so much. Speaking of queens, we got to talk about fantasy, we got to talk about God of War, we got to talk about all her other projects that are happening right now, and I'm going to link them all in the show notes. But we also, of course, talked about Professor Linda and Parks and Rec. So I am so excited. You might have heard Phoebe in the background, my cat, who is a recurring character at this point. But anyhow, so thank you so much, Danielle, for spending your time with me, for having a great conversation. I just loved this so much. I can't wait to combine our fandoms and to just, see how it goes. So anybody, if you have any questions, please let me know. And please be sure to follow Danielle. I will tag her in the show notes and in the caption on Instagram so that you guys can follow her and watch all of her amazing shows. We've got Dwight in Shining Armor that, again, I'll post in the show notes so that you guys can see her be an amazing witch queen lady. Okay. Well, thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Professor Linda. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to rate and review. Subscribe to the bonus pods if you want to hear me talk about my life in general, which I don't know if that's anybody's bag. But, I'm going to offer it to you anyway. And make sure you're following us on Instagram so you can keep up to date with everything. Okay. Well, without further ado, please welcome Danielle Bisutti.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
I like all your jewelry. You look so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Professor Linda likes red.
Yes.
This is so cool. How long have you had this podcast?
Honestly, I think it's going on 4 years, which is insane to say. I think maybe 3. I need to do the math, but it's like in between 3 and 4, somewhere like that. But yeah, I'm so happy that you're here today.
So good to meet you.
When did you move out there to Atlanta?
What's that?
When did you move out there to Atlanta?
Last year, I had been thinking about moving here since 2016.
Okay.
I came out to scout some property for a feature. I've been writing for a bit now as well. And amazing. I was scouting some property for a feature film with my producing and writing partner. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with just the open energy, the Southern hospitality. All of it just felt really great. Let's see. I don't know why this jacket's not really working. Oh, well, we'll just leave it like that.
Yeah.
And I had it always in the back of my head. And I just felt like on my next birthday, I was like, I don't know, but something's going to bring me out to Atlanta. And then I ended up booking a show that shot out here, called Dwight in Shining Armor.
Okay.
And at first we were in Utah for a year. And then it ended up out here in Atlanta. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, that must have been what I was sort of intuiting, that I was going to be out here in Atlanta. And then I was here for 2 years, and then COVID hit, and we ended up, we got 5 seasons, which was fantastic. I got to play a very sassy witch.
Yay!
Who wears a lot of red lipstick.
What is
and
it on?
actually, I even got streaming? This like, yes. I tell people, if you like The Princess Bride meets Monty Python meets Freaks and Geeks, that's kind of the tone of the show.
Okay.
This high schooler kid ends up falling down. He's going out to get a picture of a snowy white owl and in the woods. And he accidentally falls on top of a sunken kingdom that's been like dormant for 1,000 years. And he accidentally falls on top of a sleeping princess and just so happens to accidentally kiss her. So it's kind of a spin on the Sleeping Beauty trope, but she, instead of waking up, with little birds singing, she wakes up and draws her sword at his neck and says, who are you? And then there's a plaque on the wall that says, whosoever shall waketh up this princess. is her sworn champion to protect her against her swarms of enemies. And then all of the enemies wake up.
Oh my God.
And I play this very sassy witch, Hexala, who's been shape-shifting for thousands of years. And, all witches want to do is stay young. So I'm just constantly trying to figure out, do I need the princess's toe? Do I need a prince's earlobe? Like, what's it going to take to stay young forever? It's basically her number one objective. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. I love a fantasy. I'm a real fantasy bitch. So
yes, as am I. I grew up with all that great fantasy stuff. Yeah, I was thinking, gosh, all of it, like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Of course, Star Wars is all fantasy, and then anything kings and queens, and then Labyrinth and Legend and Clash of the Titans, and whatever it was. I was so drawn to it. So I was lucky.
Where can we watch it?
And The Princess Bride, obviously, which is like the greatest movie of all time.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Well, where can we watch it now?
You can. So this is the part that's confusing, but not confusing.
Okay.
So, we have streaming platforms like Amazon and Hulu and Netflix. It is streaming for free at byutv.org.
Ooh.
It's free content. So literally you just type it in your browser or download the app like you would do with Netflix. And you type in Dwight in Shining Armor. You can watch all 5 seasons for free. It is so much fun. It's family friendly, but it's a little edgy.
Sure.
And it was intended for families to watch together, which I think is really kind of a lost thing these days. I really appreciated that about it.
Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely post that in all of our show notes. Thank you for going on a tangent really fast because I have questions all of the time about everything. But okay, so we'll get officially started, even though I might air that anyways, because obviously I'll put it in the show notes. Oh my God.
Great.
But thank you so much, Danielle, for being here. Oh my God, this is so exciting for me. We have been, so we're now we just finished the second episode that you were in, the one at the restaurant with Rob Lowe and Nick Offerman and everybody. Oh, so good. I would just love to know how you got your job on Parks. Do you remember the audition? Do you remember anything about the sides or anything like that?
Yes, I do. Wow. I remember the audition. I remember at that time, The Office became very, very, very popular. Just that sort of format of single camera comedy, having the camera sort of zero in on a character who can make the expression and really connect with the audience. Something's happening over here, but you'll get, Jim or Pam's reaction or Michael Scott's. And that became that sort of mockumentary style, became very popular. And then along came the amazing Parks and Recreation. At that time it was a popular show, but I think it's gotten even more popular over time. It has this cult following. And I will tell you some funny stories about being Professor Linda, where people recognize me in the most odd places. I just went in like any other audition, and I ended up booking it. I always feel at the end of every audition, I do the work. I come in memorized. And you have to believe as an actor, this is mine. This is mine. You have to own it. So I'm always optimistic. There's a few auditions that got by me where I was like, oh, that is not going to, and then sure enough, you end up booking it. But I felt confident about this one and got the job. And I have to tell you that this was one of the nicest casts and crews that I have ever experienced. I've been able to thank some of them because Chris Pratt is, in a roundabout way, his wife is really good friends with my first cousin. And so I ended up just seeing him at her baby shower.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
hadn't seen him since I shot Parks and Rec, since I was his Professor Linda. And I just got to tell him, I was like, I'm not sure if I told you at the time, but it stayed with me just how kind everybody was, from Amy Poehler all the way down. They made me feel welcome. I could improv. I could have fun. And I'm with some of the funniest people on the planet, and you'd think you could be intimidated by that. Sure. For me, it was less intimidation. It was more, don't look Chris or Nick in the eye, because I will start laughing. I had to look just a little away because they're so clever and they're so funny, just to stay in character and not want to crack up at how brilliantly hilarious they are.
I always think about that. I'm like, how did you guys get through this? Which is why I love looking at the blooper reels, seeing what broke them or what didn't break them. And most of the time it is an improvisation or like a random timing moment from another, actor where it's like, oh, I didn't expect you to say that so fast or whatever it was. So that's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah. And they had a really good sense of play just like that. And I think it keeps the actors loose where, you'll say the lines that are written, which by the way, are brilliant because these are some of the best writers in comedy. But then, your character and you're in the moment. And sometimes that magic of the moment is something you can never imagine until you're in it. And so the fact that even the writers and the showrunners allowed these amazing actors just to be that free and fun, allowed their guest cast and the recurring cast to be that free and have that much fun. And I think brought the best performances out of everybody.
Absolutely. And do you remember that first scene at all? Like for the audition anyway? Like, do you remember what they gave you or was it just a little
It was the
page?
speech in front of the class, the Joan of Arc.
Yes.
And yeah, it was that first. So I didn't realize I would be coming back. And then, of course, choosing the man with the mustache
I
over
know. That was one of my questions, though. Like, what? So
Yeah.
it wasn't originally meant to be a 2-episode character.
I don't think so. I think that by introducing her, and I don't know if you remember the way Andy sort of picked it. He covered his eyes and pointed, and there it was, women's study, and just that sort of de facto father that Ron Swanson wants to be to him. Such a cute storyline, hilarious. And there he is, smack dab in the middle of this very highly articulate, advanced women's study class, predominantly female. Like I think he may have been one of the only men sitting in that classroom, and just everything going straight over his head. But his heart was so in it. So of course that made it hard to like get mad at the guy, because it was like, he's got to be here for something. But yeah, I think that first audition was just that speech. And then I'm trying to remember, because I think the first episode, forgive me if you could probably let me know, was predominantly in the classroom, right? And then the second one, he's in my office. It's
Correct.
the pass fail, and he's way overdoing it. I'm like, buddy, it's just pass fail. Just kind of, spitball on what you do. And he has it self-memorized. And then I get invited to the dinner. And then, yeah, I think that's how it went. So
yeah, totally. Well, and I was going to ask you too, because I watched some of those deleted scenes in the first episode that you were in, and it's it's like a tag. I think it's at the end of the episode when he's going on this tangent, and you're like, "That's extremely incorrect."
Yeah, that is just very offensive, actually. Right.
Right. But he goes on and on and on for way more than that in the deleted scenes. Like he has so many more things that he says that are so random. And I was just wondering if you remembered him rattling off all of this crazy nonsense.
Yeah, I think anytime they'd let Chris Pratt go, because we got our day, we got the scene, we got what was written. And then at that point, it was just let him spitball. And at that point, as the teacher, I think I just, first of all, I wasn't going to cut him off. And secondly, even as a teacher, I'm thinking at some point he's going to get to the point and this is all going to come together and make sense. I don't want to shame our only male student in the class. At the same time, he's so far off on a tangent. I have no idea where he's at.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of nodding and a lot of, and a lot of, oh, okay.
That's a different take.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't think we would go all the way over there when we were here. Yeah. So that was really my only goal, was just to give him that support of the teacher who's really trying to allow their student to get to that gold, and he never quite lands.
I know. I just love his thing when after your line of the extremely incorrect, where he's just like, all right, I'll get him next time.
I'll get him next time. Yeah, I'll get him next time.
That's so
He's
funny.
so lovable, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
totally.
So
do you remember, I talked to one of the camera operators and she had mentioned where that classroom might have been, but were you on set for that, or were you in an actual community college? I think it was an actual community college, but I'm just curious as far as to the inside of it.
That is a good question. Let me think. Okay, so my recollection right now is I remember taking a picture with Chris Pratt at the end of that episode when we wrapped, and we were at CBS Radford, if I think so, which is in Sherman, Studio City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you know what? I think we were at a real college campus, because then the next time when we shot coming out of the office and in that sort of hallway where the students are like milling about and they go, "Hey, do you want to join us for dinner?" I was like, "Oh, sure, the celebration dinner." I think it may have been a practical set.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely curious because I know the outside, like the exterior shots they got were definitely outside, but that inside, I mean, sets can do anything. And so I was just like, was that in
Yeah.
Radford? Interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of going to dinner, though, I'm very intrigued on your opinion as you, Danielle, for Professor Linda going to dinner with them, because Maddie and I, my other co-hosts, have talked about, like, is it weird that she's going? Or, I mean, I totally get Pratt inviting him.
Yeah.
Or inviting me,
Yeah.
rather, because he's like, but I'm just like, that's nice though that he would think to invite you, because I'm putting myself in that position and I'm like, would I invite my professor? I don't know.
And it is a little odd. I mean, obviously I had to go because that was the scene.
Sure.
And would a professor, I think she had a little soft spot for him. Again, he's kind of the lovable dolt, he's just a bumbling fool, but his heart was in the right place. And so I felt, that I just wanted to support him, and he passes and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Would a professor, in real life make the time to go to dinner with her only male student in a women's study class? I don't know. I don't know the reality of that, but it is interesting. And I didn't necessarily play it this way. But when I get invited, Ron is standing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's this animal magnetism to Ron Swanson.
Absolutely.
As we have discovered, the double Tammys, and like when he goes, "My life has been shaped by a bunch of
powerful
amazing
women," and
phenomenal women. Yeah, my life has been shaped. And so there's this confidence to him, right? He's so masculine. And you have this, for all intents and purposes, women's study professor, on the forefront of feminism,
Mhm.
our journey as women and having autonomy and our rights. And I go for the meat eating guy with the mustache because I probably am craving more masculinity than like what, a woman today is, meaning like an alpha woman out in the workplace and fully expressed, So whereas I think Rob Lowe's was his name Chris? Rob Lowe's character?
Yeah, it was.
Chris. Okay. I'm trying to remember. So Chris, talking about land kayaking and making his own like salad dressing. And it was too effeminate, quite frankly. I was that was not even on my radar. But the person that was there when I got invited was Ron Swanson. So I wonder if she was like, "Yeah,
all right,
I'll go to dinner with y'all and see what happens."
Yeah. I was wondering also how you felt about that interaction with Aubrey Plaza's character, April, where she's like, "Is that what you're going to wear?" I love your look there. It's so fun.
And I wonder if that was even an improv. I can't remember if that was in the script. But she's always brooding, and she's always got those little daggers that she shoots out, and it was great.
Well, if it was, you really stayed in character, because that look to like where you're what should I be wearing?
Yeah. I think it was more confusion. Like, was that just said? And then if it was, did I do something wrong? I don't know. It was just sheer confusion.
Oh my gosh. Well, and then did you get a call like a couple weeks before the second episode to say, we got another storyline, we want you to come back?
Yeah. I got called. It was, they're having you back. And that's always an actor's like music to your ears. You did something right. The character worked. And it inspired the writers to continue your character within the fabric of this storyline, and as a guest, that's a real honor. That's happened a few times in my career where it was just a guest star. Like, for example, Hexala in Dwight in Shining Armor was supposed to be just a couple episodes recurring, but I had such great chemistry with the magician Baldric, and it was very moonlighting. It was very love-hate. And when we were in this scene together, you could just tell there was this very prickly but very deep past between the two of them, right? It was like fraught with all sorts of gems of stories that were not being told. And I think they were so intrigued by it. They go, "Let's keep writing." Now, Professor Linda only got 2 episodes, I was a little sad that I didn't get invited back to the episode where it was Ron with all of his ladies.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that would have been
Dang
so
it.
great. But no complaints, no complaints. I was so happy and I was thrilled. And then I got more to do, which was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. And I also think that speaks so much to like the balance of the actor and the production crew. Cause like I love when a production crew is just like, oh, we have someone really good. Like, let's maybe explore it. You know what I mean? So, and that goes to everything that you've said. And every time I talk to an actor from the show, no matter if they were there for one line or 20, it's like Amy Poehler was great. The production crew was great. Like everybody was phenomenal. And it's so lovely to hear that.
I thought that would be like a recurring theme from all of the guests and recurring actors that you've spoken with. And I have nothing to lose or gain by saying that. So, and neither does anybody. We're not under contract to have to say that. So it really goes to show you that they were. And I remember this, I was in the hair and makeup trailer. It was for the second time I was back. The second episode that I was back, and they were really teary-eyed that morning. And I was like, is everything okay? Like what happened? They're like, no, we're just really sad because we're going on hiatus and we're going to miss each other.
Oh my God.
And I started laughing. I'm like, that is so rare. Usually at this point, everyone's like, I hate everybody. I just want a break. And it was the exact opposite. They were just really going to desperately miss one another. I thought that was so sweet.
How special. Oh my gosh. That's so cute. Oh,
really cute. And it comes through. You felt a lot of love for all those characters.
Yeah. Well, do you remember getting any sort of direction or anything like that? Because Nick Offerman actually wrote that second episode that you were in, which is so crazy. So any stories or memories on that?
Yes. First scene we shot was the pass fail, you know. Andy, this is just pass fail. You know, I just want you to share like what you got from the, it's just kind of spitball, share with the class. And then of course he goes by rote and he does the same thing again. That
they seriously.
except he does it a little more seriously.
Yeah.
He's so brilliant. I remember in that scene, there were a few little improvs they let me do. And they're like, oh yeah, that's great. We got what we needed, like improv. And that was really exciting. I don't remember getting any notes in that one, but when I did, the one note that I did get when we were in the restaurant, Nick wanted to be 100% sure that I didn't tilt the hand to the audience, that I was attracted to his character at all, Ron Swanson. So, really kind of politely let Chris down. I've just been through a breakup, I'm so sorry. Not that I was maudlin or teary-eyed, but it was just, it was just kind of
just
sincere.
Genuine.
Yeah, it was genuine. But did she really? Who knows? Because literally within 10 seconds later, she's like, let's go to bed.
What a bait and switch.
A total bait and switch. Like, what is up with Professor Linda? So I let him down. And again, I think there's like a pheromone thing happening with Ron Swanson. It's the mustache, it's the masculinity, it's the mystery. And I remember him saying, so after you let him down, and I could be paraphrasing a bit because it's been a while, but I remember him saying, just kind of settle in at the table. I don't want, like, don't look at me like, let's not connect or whatever. Let me just throw out who wants to go to JJ's for some after dinner omelets, or was it steaks? Omelets or steaks?
Omelets. Yeah, you're right. He ate steaks for dinner and he's having omelets for like dessert protein moment.
Yeah, he needs a little more protein, right? Which is, again, so masculine. And so I remember, because I think maybe there was one take where I looked over too soon, and that broke the tension or the surprise, because comedy, just like horror, is all about the element of surprise. So, he gets his line out and I'm sitting there, and then it's almost like it just dawns on me, or we could go back to my place. Yes. Yes. And the timing of it was so great. So that was really the only note that I remember making an adjustment on, that really, that was the button. That was the big joke of the scene. So
yeah, totally. And especially when Andy and April turn to each other and are like, wow. How was it to have Rob Lowe inspect your arms, though? I was like, that is so freaking hilarious. Your caput lateral.
Here's what's funny about Rob Lowe is he's also a friend of the family. And I would say that loosely. So my aunt, Christina Ferrari, is a talk show host, a model, book author, jewelry designer, and so she's got a few high profile friends. And in that circle is Rob Lowe. And so years ago, I had met him at a Christmas dinner at Ivan Reitman's house.
Okay.
And there were quite a few really fun high profile, actor slash musician people there that night. And he was so sweet and so kind. Well, we're talking maybe 15 years later, 12 to 15 years later, I book Professor Linda. I'm going to say maybe 15 years later. And I'm on set and I hadn't seen him since then. And I got to say, hey, I'm Christina Ferrari's niece. Do you remember? He's like, oh my gosh, that's so great. So it was just, he again was so sweet. And we got this fun photo together and everybody just made me feel very much a part of their family.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't hurt that there was that point of connection with him, but he's just so darn goofy and he's so handsome, but to play such an oddball, really, I guess what must have been so fun for him to not play the hunk that gets all the women all the time, because that was his whole life, right?
Yeah. Like such a sex symbol kind of vibe, which he still is kind of in Parks, but like in such a nerdier way, if that makes sense,
Right. Well, he reminds me of the Felix to, Ron, like Nick Offerman's Oscar, like in The Odd Couple, where Felix Unger is very meticulous. He leaves the little notes. He makes the bed in the morning. He makes his own bread from scratch.
Yeah.
And those are more feminine traits, right? If you're thinking like traditional trope, right?
Sure.
And then you have Oscar, he's got his feet on, he's a man, he's got his workshop, he's got the hammer and the wood, and he hasn't showered,
Yeah.
The beard, the mustache is all, who knows what's living inside of it. But I mean, he's a manly man. And so the two of them together, what a funny concept to come up with.
Yeah.
That,
well,
the slobby one gets the gal, huh?
No, yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I feel like it's a really good point that they wrote in the I don't consider myself an anythingist that he says when you say like you must be quite the
feminist.
And I just like that because he really doesn't have any problem with strong women. He was raised by them, he works with them, like he doesn't really mind them at all. So I really like that is written in because he's not a misogynist. I mean, there probably is parts of him, I'm sure, that we might see later, but that's not really his game. So I think that's really a cool character to have to play off of, like as a woman, with him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really cool.
Yeah, he's kind of all encompassing and all accepting, and I don't think anything really phases him.
Yeah. And there was a deleted scene here also too, where he's talking about how his mom, I think, like punched his dad in the face when he said that Adam took the rib of Eve. Like that was in it, but then there was more. He like kept on going and going and going. And the deleted scene was you just being like, I get it. Like you're not, a non-feminist.
Oh man, I think I forgot about that moment. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I wanted to remind you too, because I also feel like it's not, I know why they cut it, because I feel like that moment, and maybe I'm getting too nitty gritty, but I feel like that moment of you being like, no, I don't, we're fine, kind of negates the fact that she wants to sleep with him afterwards,
Oh, sure. Yeah, maybe. And so, right. And I think part of it again goes back to maybe she just gets that hit right then and there. I don't know how premeditated.
That's what I always wonder.
Yeah.
I'm always like, was she planning this the whole time? But a part of me, the way that it is, it doesn't seem like that. It's kind of just like, maybe I was building up to it, but also I wouldn't put it past Professor Linda to just be like, I don't know, a little bit sneaky, a little bit like, I know what I want. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I love that.
There's there's definitely some confidence in her, and even the way she like led her class. But no, how can you not fall in love with Ron Swanson?
Yeah,
that's impossible.
Amazing. Did you get to talk to anybody outside of your scenes, or was it more so just when you were on set and breaks?
On Set and Breaks.
Okay.
I had really hoped to meet Amy Poehler, but I did not
Mm,
get to meet her while I was there. The legacy of her was
of
like
course.
permeated. So it feels like I met her just because of the amount of respect and appreciation everybody had for her kindness and her great leadership. So
Yeah, that's
um,
amazing.
I remember having a great time with the director and the showrunner and yeah, just pretty much everyone that was right then and there. And
Yeah.
great to be able to work with Audrey and Aubrey Plaza
Hmm.
and Chris and and all of them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we
I
got to.
mean, yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh no, that's all. Just that had Professor Linda you sort of made it into a few more episodes, maybe that would have been really fun,
I
to
know.
be brought in.
Oh my gosh, of course. Or like you run into somebody somewhere. I don't know. It would have just been really fun.
Yeah.
But we did talk to Leslie Thurston, who played the waitress that was at the restaurant, and she said that you guys that you were really nice and that you guys got to kind of chat as well. So that's nice too. Like,
She was fantastic. Yeah. Her
yeah.
reaction to his own salad dressing, I thought was priceless.
Absolutely. You really can't be doing that.
Hmm. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, I love that. And then as far as rehearsal goes, I mean, I know pretty much generally how it works, but I do feel like every show kind of has its own vibe. I'm curious as to how often or how many times you kind of ran it before you shot it, or was it more of a let's just shoot a bunch and see what we get kind of vibe?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously because comedy again is the element of surprise. So
Mm-hmm.
if you see a joke played over and over again, it doesn't become funny because you kind of know what's coming on. You can add a new little twist to it. And of course, that is the big difference between single camera and multicam. And one of the things that was, because one of the first comedies that I was a regular on was True Jackson VP for
Mm-hmm.
Nickelodeon. And the writers on that show came from all network comedies. So it was very clever. It was very sophisticated, the jokes. And they had their turn for the parents who were watching, and then they had the slapstick stuff for the kids to get the laugh out of the kids. And so, but I do remember distinctly that you have to keep the joke a lot more fresh in the multicam environment because you're at the table read on Monday and everyone's laughing because it's well written and it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tuesday you get it up on its feed and there's blocking, right? And and then the writers are looking at it and okay, well, hey, that joke really worked at the table read, but now it's not quite landing. Maybe we need to rework it. And I'm going to get to the point on this. And then Wednesday, so then they give you a new one. And then Wednesday comes and then you do it again, but now the network's there. And then maybe the joke that lasted from Monday to Tuesday, now they know what's coming on Wednesday and the laugh isn't as big. Maybe, who knows? And then all of a sudden by Thursday, like there's a lot of second guessing. I think that can happen now. It's not to say that there can't be refinements. Of course, refinements are good and are helpful. And certainly there can be, one way to do the joke, another way to turn the joke, the different interpretations of the actor, but then also like, hey, maybe this line is funnier. And then on the night, they can throw you a line and you can slip it in. So in the multicam, you're getting a lot of that. In the single camera, a lot of times you'll just show up and there's one blocking rehearsal and then you just go right into it. And many times they can even shoot the rehearsal is what they would say,
Mm-hmm.
because who knows what kind of magic might come out. Maybe that's going to be the best moment, the best turn on the joke, the best reaction from one of your actors, which I really appreciate because it takes a little pressure off of, did the actor lose the joke or have we just heard it too many times? And that's one thing that I really loved and appreciated about the single camera is because no, actually it's written really well. Let's get that organically fresh and then start playing with some different ideas. And then those are the improvs that you're seeing. Those are like the outtakes, right? Because like we got that, now let's try this. And this is fresh and new. And then you're surprising people. And then the laughter happens. And I think it's a much more relaxed environment, to be honest.
Yeah, totally. And some of those, to your point, network shows that I've seen or whatnot seem so choreographed and almost like
Yes.
it can get rigid almost. It's not to
Yes.
say that it's not funny, but it's like you have to land on this mark at this time. And on that particular word. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I do a lot of theater, and I've worked with directors that are very like line reading on this time. And I'm just like, I get the merit, but can we like play a tiny bit and
Yes.
see what comes from that? But I also understand the other side of the coin where it's like, we might not have time to like F around all the time. But that's what is so magical about those shows like The Office and Parks, you know what I mean? Like it is a lot of play. And so I'm glad you guys got to do that, and that you got to improv too, that they give trust to such great guest stars, you know?
I felt so lucky, and just felt, I felt, in moments like that, when you get that kind of support, from everyone around you, the actors and the showrunners and the writers, you just, it brings out the best. It boosts your confidence. It allows you to stretch. It allows you to grow. And especially when you're up against like some of the funniest people on television, it really just, oops, sorry, let me just make sure that goes.
It's okay.
It really up levels the game. And so I have really only very positive things to say about everything. And the legacy of Professor Linda, which is crazy.
Will always live on. So you said you get notified, or you get like told when they recognize you and all that stuff?
It is crazy. The places, like one of the most random spots was I was having dinner with an ex of mine in Ventura with both sets of parents, because both my parents are remarried, and a set of his friends by the ocean in Ventura County in this little Italian restaurant. And we're sitting right outside the restaurant, right on the sidewalk. And there, the ocean's to my right. And then there's like the street to the left. And all of a sudden I see a group of like 20 somethings walking down the street. Professor Linda!
No.
And I'm like, what just happened? And I like turn and look, and they're coming down. They're bringing a bottle of wine and some flowers. And they're like, so happy to see me. We saw you were having a romantic dinner. Is this, your boyfriend, your husband? Who is this? Oh, it's your family. Oh, we love you on Parks and Rec. This is a gift for you. I was like, that's crazy.
Oh my God.
It was very touching.
Wow.
I did not see that coming.
No, totally. Yeah. That is so rare and wild. And it's also, that's the thing that I do love about Parks, is also the fandom that has come of it. I feel like there's so many just lovely people that like Parks, and that creation of that environment in the community and this show that feels like home really draws in so many wonderful people. I'm sure there's crazies out there, whatever. I might even be one of them, but I'm so nice, and everyone else is so nice to like talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so lovely.
No, I think it actually kind of is emblematic of the energy of the show.
Yeah.
A little kooky,
totally.
A little oddball, and it
quirky.
Brings together just, what was that?
A little quirky.
A little quirky, and it brings together like that people that feel this is my family. I'm from this ilk. I'm cut from this cloth, and every character was on there, and every aspect probably of every actor that got cast in there has a little bit of that goofball in them. And there was one other place that I'm just trying to think. I think one time it was in an airport.
Okay.
Someone had recognized me, and then the other spot was at my gym. And, your gym, your hair is in the bun, you're sweaty, you're just wanting to focus on, your reps. And I was on the stretching mat, and I had noticed this one young man just staring and staring. And I was like, all right, well,
creepy.
Maybe he's going to ask me on a date. I don't know. Does he want the 10 dumbbell, like 10 pounder? Like what is happening over here? And because I kept looking, and then he'd look away, and he was like talking to somebody, and then he'd keep looking, and I'm like, maybe he watched Nickelodeon. So he comes over, and I can't remember. I think he may have said like, you want to go get some after dinner omelets or something. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, you're Professor Linda, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yes, hello. He's like, I can't believe we go to the same gym. This is wild. So
you were working on your caput laterals.
My caput lateral and the beautiful veins under my white pale skin.
Oh my gosh. It's definitely that could have gone a lot of different ways. So I'm glad that it went that way.
Yeah, but I love that he brought back the after dinner omelets, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Cool. And I saw him a couple times after that, and I would be like, "How is it going?" But I'm certainly not an actor who gets upset when people recognize me. I'm not, and I mean, I don't know what it's like to be, at a level where no matter where you go, people are stopping you. And, part of that feels like you don't have your privacy, your autonomy. But I'm always delighted, and it's always just random, like what they'll recognize me from. And so I always love the Professor Linda fans because I know that they're a fun bunch.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that really speaks to, I feel, the casting director. I don't know. They must just have a sixth sense. Dorian Frankel, I think, might have casted you. She does a lot of
I love her.
She just has found these incredible, wonderful people. They're never mean. They're never rude. At least the ones that I have been in contact with, they're always so happy to talk. And if they can't talk, they're like, "I'm sorry, I'm not free, but I'm so happy you're doing this." And I'm like, it's just so nice to see.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you're being received in such a loving, fun way. And yeah, Dorian Frankel, she's incredible. And I had been in for her for a couple other things. I think this was my first big booking with her.
Yeah.
And just super grateful for all of it.
That's so amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, do you have any other stories or random memories of any other people that you are thinking of? I mean, you gave me some great stuff, so I'm really just making sure I tie up loose ends.
The bottle of wine and the flowers was like, I could barely believe it. They're like, "We found this really great wine store. We wanted to give you a gift." I was like,
how long were they watching you to go? I guess they saw you and then went down and decided, let's get her a gift.
It's so cute. It was so cute. No, I think kind of the topper on this was, first of all, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to, diving in and hearing all of your different episodes. But yeah, it just kind of was a fun confirmation when I just saw Chris Pratt, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago now. It was in mid January at my cousin's baby shower, and he walked in, and I was like, wow, I finally get to, after all this time, say thank you.
Yes.
For being so kind and allowing me to play and making me feel so welcome. And he was really grateful for that, and he's just so delightful.
Yes, what a lovely full rounded circle moment. You know what I'm saying? Full circle moment is what I'm full rounded.
Yeah, it was rounded. It was full circle. It was a round circle.
All the things. Yeah, that
All
scene that you guys had together was really lovely. I just like how you really dealt with him in that very professor, just calm down, slow down.
Just, yeah, almost, like my children. I mean, and I imagine very much like that.
That's true.
And who knows? I mean, maybe Professor Linda doesn't have any kids, and so her students are very much like de facto children for her. And so maybe that's why when Andy said, "Come out and celebrate with us," it says, "Yeah, I'm part of this young man's life, and I'm not going to get that with my kiddos, but I'm going to get it with this one, and then I'm going to really get it with the other one with the mustache."
Yes,
so
hello. I loved that reaction though of yes.
It was so good. It was just it was so direct.
Well, and I was going to ask too, did they tell you of to lean in next to him, or was it more of just that was you doing that? Because I feel like you could have played it where you're just turn sly kind of vibe, but you leaned into his body and was like, or we could go back to my place.
Yeah.
That's very actory nitpicky, but I'm curious.
Yeah, no. I mean, with comedy, it's very specific. Any movement, and even still, if you're delivering a joke, if you turn and you're mid, if you're turning with the joke from the very beginning, sometimes it works to almost turn midway through, and with the movement, it really lands. And I think it just at that point was more organic because I was starting to feel really attracted to him. And it was almost like I was smelling his pheromones. It was like,
yeah.
Or on second thought, why don't we go back to my place?
Yeah. I love that.
I don't know what's happening here, but it's really working for me. The land kayaking, not so much.
Oh my God. I love that so much. Do you remember where that restaurant was at all? I know. I think Leslie, the waitress, had said that it was somewhere in, I think, the Valley, but I didn't know if you remembered where it was.
Oh, it might have been the Valley. Now I had a memory of it being, what? It might have been around so it was either Ventura Boulevard or 3rd, not Melrose. But
Okay.
like all those restaurants on you're in LA, right?
No, I'm in Nashville, but I lived in LA for a
Oh,
little bit.
oh, you lived. Okay. So, Melrose, Beverly,
Yeah.
and Third. I think it was either something on Beverly or Third, or it might have
Oh,
been
okay.
off of Ventura Boulevard.
It was really cute.
So
Hope it's still
cute.
there. I would love to go visit it.
So cute. So fun. Easy day. Just a complete joy.
And poor little Chris. I'm glad that, and by poor Chris, I more so mean that, his art, it's not about you. It's or Professor Linda rather. It's just like his arc before that was him just being depressed and sad. So I am glad that, I feel like it was good and nice that Ron told him, but Ron does come in with his sex shirt, and to be like his red sex shirt, Tiger Woods. And I just love that you were the recipient of that. You were the cause of that.
The shirt that he wears after he gets laid.
Yes.
Clearly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious.
Oh, well, is there anything that you are working on apart from the one TV show what's it called? I'm sorry.
Dwight in Shining Armor.
Okay.
So think of Knight in Shining Armor, but Dwight. And Dwight's the high schooler kid that awakens up the whole medieval realm that's been asleep for
Okay, got it.
Did I say 1,000? No, I think 10,000 years, something crazy, like
Yeah,
thousands
something
of years
wild.
we've been asleep. Yeah. And so it's like medieval meets middle America, and
Okay.
we're all just hopping around trying to figure out how to find our way in this new world. No, I've been doing a lot of writing. So one thing that's a big significant role that came my way after Parks and Rec was a Freya in God of War, which is a video game.
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw that. I have that on my list to ask you about. I saw it on your IMDb, and I was like, "Oh my god, she's a voice actor. Love this."
Well, actually, we do all of it.
And the mocap, right?
Yeah, performance capture. Yeah. So just like they do in Avatar, Kate Winslet did it, Sigourney Weaver, like there I was acting out every scene with Chris Judge and Sunny Soljic. And we, and the rest of the cast, incredible cast with God of War 4 and then God of War Ragnarok, which was the sequel. And
Wow.
that's just been a huge, significant part of my life, which garnered me an incredible legion of fans of the game who really loved me as Freya, I've become very close with on social media. And that's just been a huge gift. And I've been doing a lot of writing. So I have several different projects, and being out here in Atlanta, I'm working with a couple different production companies to get them produced. And one in particular, which is a psychological thriller, fantasy horror drama, which it has a lot of twists and turns. It's got a little Memento vibes, Shutter Island vibes, Jordan Peele vibes. It's got some nice surprises along the way. And I'm excited about that one because I think that's the first one that's going to go. So
yay. Oh my gosh. Well, we're sending you all the luck. Are you still doing God of War right now?
Yeah. So they are turning it into a television series.
Oh my gosh.
Amazon Prime picked it up, much like, look, I mean, these are some of the biggest IPs in the world.
Yeah.
With some of the largest fan bases in the world. And they're very loyal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they just like, please don't screw it up. Like, make sure that you keep it true, And so Amazon Prime has picked it up. I know that they are midway through writing, I imagine, what would be their first season. I don't think they've broken into casting yet.
Okay.
Certainly, I would love to play my role on the TV series if they'll have me. And there's so many factors that go into that, so you sort of prepare yourself as the actor and know that I've given all of myself to Freya, and there's clearly more. Like, I know her, I understand her, and the rest of it is in the hands of the gods. So,
of course. Oh my gosh, the God of Ragnarok. Was the audition like a regular TV film audition for video games?
No, I knew it was an interactive game.
Okay.
But I didn't quite understand what that actually meant. And I think that they had said, well, it's kind of like Avatar or Gollum and Lord of the Rings. You'd seen those images of the actors, with the dots on their face. Yeah. The ball. And then they have a helmet with a camera in the face and the horrible, like, black onesie that's Velcro.
Yeah.
Nothing sexy about that outfit, but it's fun because it's just that make believe that you get like in theater in a black box, or theater in the round where you do the integrity of the scene from the beginning to the end, and that's what's captured. There's no coming in for close-ups.
Sure.
So really the aliveness of the moment is you can't really manufacture it. It's
Okay.
all right there, which I really, really loved. And the chemistry that I have with all of the actors in that ensemble cast, it was just so special. And another set like Parks and Recreation that I can very honestly and openly say was like coming home to family and kind, and everybody wanted the best for everyone. Everybody wanted the best out of everybody. And I believe that's what people feel when they play it. And they feel that sense of love and that family that's there, much like I think people feel with the Parks and Rec.
Definitely that community building. I love that.
Correct. Community building. Well said.
And was that a scene that you were given kind of for the audition? I'm just so curious about video game auditions.
Oh, sorry. Let me get to specifically to answer you. I got a monologue or like a soliloquy, right?
Okay.
And to me, it was just like doing Shakespeare. So it wasn't an iambic pentameter, but I said, oh, okay, it's a queen. She had made a choice that her people did not agree with, but she thought she was sacrificing herself in a sense by making this choice because she wanted to broker a peace for her people. And it ended up backfiring on her, and people turned their back on her. And so she had to, she was expressing the remorse that she felt and questioning her choice, but also still standing by why she did it. And so, just resonated. I just went in, did everything I know how to do as an actor, being a theater trained actor. And apparently, the creative director, Corey Barlog, said within the first 30 seconds, he knew that I was Freya.
Oh my God. You are a queen.
And
I get the energy from you in every role that I've seen.
Professor Linda is a queen.
Professor Linda is
she
such
knows
a queen.
what she wants.
She does not suffer fools. Okay.
Nope. No and yes. And thank you.
Yes.
Love so that. Fun. Yeah.
And that's shot like on a soundstage kind of thing, I'm guessing, in LA?
Yeah. So it's called The Volume. And I tell people it's a lot like, you remember in the original Willy Wonka when Mike Teavee walks into the room and it's all a white room? It's like almost like a padded, like a loony bin room. But it's huge, called The Volume. There are cameras in each quadrant. There are cameras all around the ceiling. And then there's also a camera on right in front of your face to capture all the facial expressions, everything, the breath, the tear, the inhalation, the sneer, the smile, the eyebrow lift.
Amazing.
And then there's also either a camera op or this cinematographer who have a roaming camera that they're holding. And a lot of it is choreography. So we talked about that earlier, where there wasn't a whole lot. Let's find where the choreography is in the scene or where the blocking is, because they knew what they needed, how they knew how the camera needed to move for the game. So we got the blocking, but what was organic was there was no stopping in the middle of the scene. Everything alive, moment to moment, was captured. And it's a very powerful feeling, and it translates in a very effective, evocative way.
Oh my gosh, amazing. That's so cool. And what an amazing experience to have, both as an actor, but as just a person in general, But yeah, now
it changed my life. Yeah, it changed my life. I mean, it was the #1 game of 2018 and 2019. We won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Gosh. We won the BAFTA. I got nominated for both games for my performance. And so I can say I'm a BAFTA nominated actress from this incredible interactive game audition I walked into in 2014. And I had no idea how it would change my life.
Yeah, that is incredible. Oh my gosh. Justice for video games, man. That's insane.
I think so. I think, look, there are the games out there that are, just like a movie out there. It's like, you call it a cotton candy popcorn movie. It's just for fun. But the depth of this, I mean, for a gal who likes fantasy, I would maybe watch some of the cut scenes. If you love Norse mythology, it's all about Norse mythology. Of course, Kratos is from the Greek pantheon, but he stumbles into the Norse world. So he meets Freya and Odin and Thor and Loki and Balder. And
I do think I like watching video games more than playing them. So this would be great.
They're not easy. If people ask me, do you play your own game? I'm like, no, my fingers can't do that. Like, know. I wish.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, it's such a whole deep dive of gear and equipment and Xbox budgets, all these things. And it's amazing. I mean, the creators and the designers are just, and the actors are truly so talented and divine, you know? So amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to come on today, and thank you for staying a little bit longer than I had anticipated. This was so fun.
This was so fun. I'm sending you all the best. I think that you've really nailed it because, you know, when a show ends and you don't want it to end and you want to keep reliving it and it's like losing your friends in a way. It's like, I'm not ready to say goodbye. And so I think that's what's so great about podcasts is that you can continue to rehash those moments and what it meant to you and then what it meant to the actor. And, you know, it's just something that stays in your heart forever. So I really appreciate you inviting me into the fold.
Yes, of course. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like the actors, when they say that they were lucky that this was one of their first guest star roles, I feel lucky that this was my first podcast foray, because talking to guests from, or what I've heard from other shows, it might not always be as, you know, open and whatnot, but everyone here has been so great. If I email them, they're either back at me emailing or they're like, oh, sorry, I forgot to, or whatever, you know, so it's been such a lovely experience to get in contact with you guys. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
This mug that I'm drinking out of, it says HOS, which means House of Sapphic.
Okay.
And here it says Queen of the House of Sapphic, Danielle Bisutti. So this was created from, you know, one of my fans. I say friends, right? They some are stans, you know, the whole thing. When I played Hexala, and I'm actually wearing some of Hexala's jewelry right now because they gave me a bunch of her stuff.
Oh my gosh, so gorgeous.
Isn't that cool? The little snaky snake.
Yes, love that.
One of the fans was what called her this group on Twitter called the Sapphic Witches. And then another fan named her screen name is Boop Boop Berry came along and was like, and treated it like it was almost like a house in the Game of Thrones. So it's like the House of Sapphic, you know, Queen Danielle Bisutti, first of her name. And so we started really going with this whole like Game of Thrones energy with House of Sapphic. And so now she's creating merchandising, which I thought was so cool. You know, you just never know, like the way, and for all the things social media is, there's also the downside of social media, which we know exactly what that is. But it also, like a podcast will connect people and have a tribal sense and a sense of community, which I think is how we are organically created to desire as humans, you know?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, we're nothing without each other. That's so wonderful. That's so cool that you have fans that do that. Actually, speaking of that, where can we find you on social media?
Just at Danielle Bisutti and all the platforms.
Okay. I'll tag you in all the things. I'll try to find you as well. But yeah, also speaking of fantasy, just as the last little tangent moment, are you a reader at all? Do you like reading?
Oh, indeed.
Okay, I was going to say, because I bet since you're a writer, you might like reading. I bet some of your fans are also ACOTAR fans, or A Court of Thorn and Roses, which is this like huge fantasy. You've heard of this, yes or no?
Yes, I have. I haven't jumped in yet, though. Tell me where to start. I'm going to make a little note. Tell me where to start.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just finished the third book that she released, as many of us SJM fans did, which is Sarah J. Maas, the author. But okay, so start with ACOTAR. That is a 5-book series. And you need to read that before you go into Crescent City. There are so many different ways to do it, but what I think, this is my personal opinion, but I'll tell you the options. First, ACOTAR, that's non-negotiable. Then she has 2 other series. You can either go to Crescent City or Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass is a big commitment. It's, I think, 7 books, but you'll speed through them. It's very fast. And then Crescent City is the last one, and that's the one that she just released, the 3rd book in her saga. And it's very good, very sexy also. It is smutty, but it's also very fantasy as well. So I think that there is a very good balance. But and I will say, if you're not, like, I'm saying this to the listeners mostly, if you're not like a fantasy person, or you're not really sure what fantasy might even entail apart from maybe Harry Potter, then it is a good transition. However, it's definitely different. So if you're taking a while to get into it, that's totally normal. Don't give up.
Oh, awesome. Oh, well, I can't wait to jump in. Okay, ACOTAR.
Yes. I'll send you an email.
so awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And please make sure that you tag me.
I will.
I want to make sure that I share this with all the fans, and then they can do a deep dive into all your episodes and start following you, and we'll bring the families together.
Yay. Thank you so much, Danielle. This was so fun. I'll definitely keep you posted with everything. And let me know if, what you're doing in Atlanta. We'd love to share whatever you're doing. And I'll post everything as well in our show notes so people can follow you if they aren't already. But best of luck with everything. Broken legs everywhere.
Wait, say that again. You broke up. It was what?
Best of luck and broken legs.
Oh, thank you so much. You too.
Have a good day. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you so much. Take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.